video, we are going to discuss about the classes and the object in Java. So, without wasting the time, we are going to start this video and we'll see what the content we are going to discuss in this video. So, the class, objects, why we need the class and object in Java, what are variables and the method, and what we will do by using the dot operator. After understanding all the terminology, we are going to create a class and I will call a method by creating an object, and we will see how we will call the variable and the method using that objects. So, what is object? So, object is something that have a state and the behavior. State is anything. Suppose if I talk about the real-time example, in our home we have bed, copy, human being. All are the objects. So, a object that have some state or shape, you can say, and it have some behavior. So, if I have taken an example of dog, then they state that simplify that the state of a dog is a color, name, or that breed of the dog. If I will talk about the behavior of the dog is wagging tail, barking, and eating. So, these are the behavior that is described for a dog. So, I will say that the object have the something that have some state and the behavior. So, in a Java, everything is an object, and every method or in a variables we call by creating that object. So, we are going to discuss, we will see how we create an object and how we call the variable and method inside a class. So, now then simply what is class? So, if I say class, that means a entity which represents or that contains all the variable and the methods. So, if I say that students there is a class where student, table, chair, teacher all are there, and they are the class is the container where you find a student, a teacher, a text, a table, blackboard, pen. So, all the things are under the class. So, class is an entity where all the objects are present. So, if I will talk about the class in a Java form, then a class is an entity that determines how an object will behave and what the object will contain. So, I can say that object have something and object do something. So, object have something means the object have data, that means variable, and if I say that object do something, then I say that object will do something with the help of method. So, we can also say that a class is a blueprint where there are a set of instructions to build or to create an object. So, I can explain you now with the help of a diagram so that you can understand better that a car is an object. Okay, to construct that car or to create that car, we need a class. So, class is here is like a blueprint of a car. And what is blueprint? Basically, the architecture or the plan which we need to create that object. So, that is the blueprint. So, I will say that if we need to create an object or create a car here, so we need a plan or architecture. So, that we will call the blueprint. So, if we have a blueprint, we can create an object. So, by this we understand that if we have a class, we need an object to create that class or to call that method. So, I was talking about the method and variable. So, what are the methods and what is variable? So, simply a method is a collection of statements that perform some specific task and return the result to the caller. What this statement specify? That means I said that a object have something and object do something. So what object have something, that is variable, and the what object do something, that is method. So also we understand that what is variable. So I will say what is variable means a variable can be, you can take that variable is a container that hold the value uh, of the any program during the execution of that program life cycle. So variable are just a container where we put the value and get the result from that. Now, so when I talk about the method, so method will act on the variable and provide you the some solution. If I say about something like, if you want to add something, if you want to subtract something, so you need two variables, means you need two numbers. If you want to, you have two numbers that we are the variables, and by using that numbers we got some output. So if we have a 2 or 3, we get the 5, then the 5 is the result of adding the 2 and 3. So we are, by adding 2 or 3 we getting 5. That means when we performing in some operation over the variable, we are getting the result in the return. So variable is just a container where you put the value, and the method is that where you perform some operation to get any result. And now what is dot operator? So if I say about dot operator are only the thing by which you can able to access the object or the method. When you create an object of a class, using the dot variable you can access the variable or the method of that class. So this is basically what is the class, object, method and variables. Now I will show you one example. So this is our class. Now I will say that I will create another class in this, say class test, or we can say that create test. Okay, so I have created another class. So I have said that I have talked about the 4 things, that the variable, method, class and objects. One thing is also the dot. So we are here the 5 term, we are trying to understand what are these 5 term if we are going to practice this. So in the test class we'll create some variable. So suppose that we are going to create we are want to calculate something, so we need 2 variable. So I will say that one I can take an x and another is y. So I have written here int x, int y. Int, what is int and what is basically is a data type. So I will explain the data types as well in the upcoming videos. So for example, if we are taking an integer value, so that's why we have defined the int. So I have defined a variable x whose data type is integer. That means we want to store integer value in this, so we have defined int x and int y. So when we perform some operation on this, we also get the result in the form of, so I will say that int result, right. So now if I will say here, now if I want to access that, right, access that variable, so I will create a method in the previous session I have told you about the public static void main. That means why I have written this line, because this is the entry point of a program. When I have the main declare this public static void main, that means the program will execute from here. So, if you haven't seen my last video, previous video, you can go to the video and just see here. So, now I said that the object have something and objects perform something. So, if I say that object have something and objects does something. So, what this specify? Now, if I will say that object have something means the variable, I am talking about the data. So, if I take about the object have something means I am talking about the data. Object have something. Now, if I say that object perform something means that the operation I am going to perform on this variable. So, the operation was, suppose that I want to add this. So, I am adding. So, now I have declared a method. So, the name I can provide any. So, I was just adding this value. So, I just provide the addition. So, before this I have to provide void. Void means I don't have any return type of this. So, that is why void I have defined. Now, I will say that I can access this from anywhere. So, I have the public. So, public is an access modifier. So, for access modifier I will definitely let you know what are the access modifier and what type of access modifier we have in Java. So, we will have a separate video for that, and in which I will discuss about the public access modifier. So, now I am talking about this method where is a public void. Void means no return type. Now, addition. So, what I will do, I will say that result equals to x plus y. So, I will print the value of, so value, or I can say there the result is so now that I have created any method. So, this is object does something. So, now I have said that object have something means the variable, the data, and object does something, that means perform operation on the data. So, is it now what I told you, if you want to access the variable and the method, you have to create an object. Then now I am going to create the object of above class. So, above class is my test. So, I will provide a reference to this. So, I will say that object equals to new and test. So, now I have created a object of this. Now, what is this specify? Test is the class, object is the reference, by using that we can access this. So, I am referring test using the name object. Now, this new is a keyword, that means new will create a memory or allocate the memory for this object, and this test is a constructor. So, when we are creating a memory space in, so we will create using the with the help of the constructor. So, constructor is, we will going to discuss this constructor separately in next video. So, now if I say that object, and I have told you about the dot variable. So now what is the dot operator, sorry, variable, no, dot operator. So object, I say that the dot operator is the thing, by using the dot operator we are able to access the objects and the variable. So now I will say I want to access the variable. So I will say dot and I can say that x. Now above I have declared the variable. Declaring the variable means that the you have only declared the variable, you haven't defined anything. Define means you haven't provided any value to that variable, you just declare that value. That variable will be like integer type, but what the value will it contain, you haven't declared that. So I am going to define the value for x. Let's say it is 10. Now object dot y equals to 5. Now I will say result, sorry, object dot result. So I will have seen that if I, you can say that if I want to, sorry, now what I did, I have provide the value to this variable. Now if I want to perform something, or I can say that objects does something with the help of method. So with the help of method, so if I want to perform something on this, I need a method. So for this method I will say object dot result, sorry, results ne, I will say that method addition. So now I will say, now I have initialized the value, sorry, I have defined the value of x, defined the value of y by using the reference object. So reference is the reference for this class. So I have used the reference dot x equals to 10. So I have provided the value for x and also I provided the value for y is a 5. Now when I run this, now you will see result is 50. So now that means I have the variable that the object have something and object does something with the help of this variable. So I think this have helped you to understand what is the class, object, method and the variable, and how we are calling this variables. So if you guys like this video, please like this video, share this video and subscribe also, and also let me know the how you like the video, what the content where I have to focus more and what thing I need to explain you in more detail. So guys, please like, subscribe and comment also on my video. Thank you guys.